Well, a new traveling exhibition at the Cummer Museum of Art and Gardens is challenging the myths and stereotypes of American Western art narratives. Joining me to talk about how the exhibit came together is Kuta Dring, Director of Learning and Engagement at the Cummer Museum of Art and Gardens. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're also joined by on the telephone by Mindy Besaw. It's Besaw, sorry, Mindy Besaw, curator of Knowing the West, which is the exhibit. Good morning, Mindy. Welcome.
Good morning.
So, Mindy, if you could just tell us what inspired this exhibition in the first place. I understand it took a long time to kind of research and develop and bring together.
Yeah, that's a great question. This is an exhibition about 5 years in the making. I co-curated the exhibition with Jamie Powell, who is an Osage Nation citizen. She is at the Hood Museum at Dartmouth College. And we brought together an advisory board to really help us think through what is the right balance? How do we tell this complex and diverse and really wonderful story about the American West? So we had that great help, and it resulted in about 120 objects from saddles and paintings and sculpture and textile and beadwork. And so that is a little bit of how it came about.
And so the idea here, I guess, is to broaden the definition and our understanding of what art in the context of the American West is. What is it that typically gets overlooked in the stories that we tell about the artwork from that period and that part of the world?
Yeah, I think some of it is what specifically gets overlooked. For example, art contributions by African Americans. There's a selection of pottery by H. Wilson and Company, which was a group of men who were formerly enslaved. And in 1869, they formed a pottery company in Texas. It was the first Black-owned business. So there are some individual stories like that that often get overlooked. Otherwise, it's really seeing the art in context. So often, Native American art is grouped together as one holistic thing, denying that there are more than 500 federally recognized tribes in the United States. And then the art by European Americans gets put in a very separate place. And so part of the goal of the exhibition is to really see the cross-cultural exchange and dialogue when you put the artwork side by side and in conversation.
And one of the things that this exhibition does, Kim, is it shows us that the definition of art is much broader than a painting or a photograph. That there are a variety of, particularly things like textiles, that are incredibly detailed, skilled, and very beautiful pieces of art on their own. Can you talk about some of the sort of non-traditional art forms that we see at this exhibition?
Sure. And I might lean on Mindy a little bit because I love when she tells the stories of the five saddles. So, saddle meaning on a horse, person riding a horse. And she tells a story about some of the community advisors and how they were investigating different objects that would tell the more complete story than many people might already understand. And one person said, you can easily do this by showcasing five different saddles. And so there are some Native American saddles in there. Some are very intricate with beautifully detailed beadwork. Almost looks like something that no one really would sit on because it just looks so precious and beautiful and fragile. There's another by a different Native American tribe that you see a lot of the rawhide, and there is a high area in where the front of the person would be, but then it also raises up in the back. And then there's beautiful beadwork in the stirrups and in the front. And there's a martingale, which is something that the horse would wear as well. Beautifully beaded, detailed work for the horse. And that was specifically a woman's saddle. And so we've been, and Mindy, I do not know if this is correct, but we've been joking at the museum that oh, yeah, definitely. The women were probably more practical and would want that little bit of a backrest on the saddle to just help keep them stable.
Oh, interesting.
So it's objects like that that are really intriguing and fascinating and somewhat surprising because we don't necessarily we consider them more functional rather than artistic or artworks. And I think that's what this exhibition does so well is it really introduces the totality of people's experiences living in the West, not just creating art for art's sake and to depict beauty, but baby cradles that would take 9 months for an entire community of women to create for the baby that was about to be born. And there's a variety of materials and sizes and structures, but they all have the same function. And they have a wide diversity of beauty inherent within them. So I really encourage everyone to come to the museum and see this exhibition. It's really stunning, and we like to ask the question, thanks to Mindy and her team, of how do you know the West? How do you know the American West?
Mhm.
And that could be through movies, through books, through stories, through growing up there, through visiting, and probably 9.5 times out of 10 at the end of the exhibition, people's ideas of the West may have evolved a little bit. They might have grown and as new stories get introduced.
Yeah. Well, the exhibit is on display through August 31st. There's more info at cummermuseum.org. Kim, Kuta Dring, Mindy Besaw, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.